Hello, friends and family. Suzette here again, continuing showing up to bring something to your day, perhaps a thought, perhaps an inspiration during these challenging times of social distancing and sheltering in place. And today I would like to continue this ongoing contemplation about the hero's journey. And in particular, I would like to focus again on the struggle, because that's where we are right now. We are in this collective dark time. There is so much uncertainty, so much change and job loss, and so many grieving hearts and confused minds. And, there's so much that we can learn within the struggle. And the aspect that I'd like to focus on today is this idea of sitting in the soup, sitting in the discomfort of things. There's a quote by Viktor Frankl who, and I'm not going to remember clearly the story, but the gist of it is he was imprisoned, and even though he was imprisoned and very mistreated, he still hung on to the part of himself, his dignity, his humanness. And there was a quote that I heard many years ago that was actually quoted by Stephen Covey, one of my favorite authors. And he says, between where you are now and where you are going is a space. And within that space, we can choose. I mean, it's not exactly, I'm not quoting verbatim exactly, but there's a space. There's that space in between. It's not clear. It's uncertain. It's uncomfortable because, in that space is where we can choose our response to what's happening. And that was what I got out of that quote. And maybe I'll find that quote and give you the proper quotation. But the idea of it is that there is a discomfort. Hi, Kia. There is a discomfort. And, as human beings, we tend to not want to linger in discomfort very long. When something starts to get uncomfortable, we're like really quick to remove ourselves from the source of pain or discomfort. But I feel like right now, while we are in this collective uncertain time, this dark time, that we are called to something deeper. We're being called to not just come home to ourselves, but to also explore what's inside. And I did take notes because, sometimes I just show up live and I don't really know what I'm going to say. I'm just counting on my heart to lead me. And today my heart was overflowing after I attended a master class by Tanya Rubinstein. She's amazing teacher. And she's talking about memoirs and solo shows and the creative process, that the consciousness is what holds the story. And right now, we are self-connecting to connect to our own stories, to our own consciousness, because that's where our story lives. How can we stand for our own stories when we are disconnected? We have to self-connect before we can connect to the story that is us. And, you know, now I feel like we're all being called inward so that we can connect, self-connect, connect to our own stories, resource ourselves from within, and then be able to connect to the greater story, to be able to see the greater story that is unfolding before us. And yes, this is a very uncomfortable time, but I believe there's a gift behind the challenge. And we have to, as is the part of the hero's journey, it's going to call for some sitting in darkness. It's going to call for some time to be in the discomfort, sitting in the soup, marinating in the stories we tell ourselves, not to torture ourselves, but to perhaps examine it and, you know, challenge them, or lay the stories down, or examine, you know, where did they come from? Why are they here? What is it trying to teach us? Because suffering is in the resistance of those stories. When we resist, it persists. And when we get triggered, it's not to torture ourselves. It's purging so that we can awaken to them and then release them. Because when we can release what is no longer serving, little by little, we grow. We become a more mature soul. We become a deeper character, full of life force and essence and power and gratitude, and the influence of that radiance just overflows without saying a word. But that requires a connection to oneself. I made some notes so that I didn't forget any points. I just want to. So it is uncomfortable to sit in the soup of uncertainty, to sit in the negative self-talk that, you know, we're not enough, we're not good enough, we're not pretty enough, strong enough, rich enough, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, maybe these are stories that at one time protected us. Maybe these are stories that at one time helped us get through a difficult time in our lives, but at some point they begin to no longer serve us. They begin to sabotage our happiness. And that's when we really have to wake up to our own hearts, because in our hearts is where the truth is. And the truth is, these stories, they're in the mind. They're in our belief systems. And these belief systems may not even be our own. They may be inherited. They may come from an ancestral line that kept passing down tradition and you know, as individuals, souls, as individuals, we don't have to subscribe to them if they aren't the truth that lives within our hearts. So sitting in this place of discomfort, sitting in the darkness, it can feel dark, foreboding, uncomfortable. And, you know, when you put your hand on a hot stove, the first inclination is to flinch at the heat. And so this is kind of the impulse that happens when we find ourselves sitting in an uncomfortable place, which is where we are now in this time. We don't know what's going on. We don't know who to believe, who not to believe, who's full of shit, who is true. And it's just so much confusion. And I want to speak about this idea of resiliency and how important it is to build it up, and how to build it up by embracing new perspectives, by allowing these perspectives to come from the heart, to really be able to drop in, to listen to what our inner guidance has to say to us about a shift in perspective. And when I'm talking about a shift in perspective, I'm not speaking about blind optimism. And I'm not speaking about ignoring our darker feelings or denying those darker emotions that we have, because all emotions have a place at the table, and it's not healthy to stuff our emotions or ignore them or vilify them, even the bad ones, even the darker emotions. There is a place at the table for all of our emotions. And when we can be with them and just be with them, honor them, investigate them, and then call to that part of us that is seeking our attention. You're so welcome, Kea. Love you, sister. And so yeah, this struggle that we're in, it doesn't feel good. But I believe there's something on the other side of it if we can take the time to drop in. And so this idea about resiliency and building it up, why it's important to build it up, and through the shifting of perspective is really important, because when we shift the attitude towards the struggle changes. And this, as I was saying, not denying the darker emotions, but diving into the heart space for a deeper truth and embracing a greater meaning, that something beyond us is at play, and that somehow these challenging times are trying to reach us, trying to awaken us to our own power and towards a destined change, because there is a change at play right now in the world, and we're all going through it together. And so being with discomfort, not judging it, not identifying with the thoughts, not giving meaning to the thoughts, because the thoughts only know where you've been. They don't see what is ahead. And dropping into the heart, that's all about self-connection. Connecting heart and mind, heart and mind, heart and mind, this way. And it is a passion of mine to contribute something towards the heart-mind connection, because this is where everything changes. Because there is a wisdom that comes from detaching from the old stories. There is a liberation of truth, of personal freedom, of expansion. I heard someone once tell me that you cannot fix something that's broken from within the same consciousness that created it. And I believe that was a Einstein. That source was that's an Einstein quote. But it's so true. If you're in a toxic, angry, conscious state of being, you're angry, I mean, you're not going to be able to create solutions from the frame of mind of being angry. It's going to be adversarial. It's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to create real solutions from a place of anger. It's only when we can rise above the anger that a third alternative can be known, can be discovered. And this morning I sat in, I mentioned Tanya Rubinstein. She's a teacher for creatives and artists who are dropping into their own stories to bring them out, to inspire, to be creative, to teach, to connect. And it was really an eye-opening masterclass. But she said something about resiliency that really just touched my heart. And she said, and I'm quoting, "There is a direct correlation between resiliency and the willingness to take ownership of our own narrative. Not only do we create meaningful offerings to share with others, but we also restory our lives by owning our own consciousness, and our point of view on any narrative is a game changer. When our inner wisdom comes through, it then becomes our job to act on it." So it's not enough just to self-connect. Once we hear that voice in the heart, it becomes our job to act upon the wisdom that comes through. And by following that wisdom, by following that intuition, trusting it, it grows stronger over time. And then over time, life begins to unfold in wondrous ways. So going back to this idea of sitting in the soup, sitting in the discomfort of these uncertain times, this collective dark night. And as I've mentioned in previous lives, taking it as an opportunity to come home, drop into the heart, explore those narratives that come from the mind that have in the past self-sabotaged you, or just doesn't work anymore. And contemplating in the heart, connected to your heart, connected to that wisdom. How can I restory this? This is a chance to emerge new. The gift behind the challenge is a reemergence, is the birth of something new that wants to come forth. And until We drop into those narratives by sitting in the soup, by sitting in this uncertainty, by dropping in and strengthening that heart-mind connection, by trusting that inner wisdom that comes through and acting on it as it comes through. This is where it all happens. This is where the new sprouts of hope and faith can come through, regardless of lifestyle, regardless of faith or belief or culture or religion. It's not about that. But if we want to make a new world, if we want to change things for the better, we have to first drop in with ourselves and do our own inner work. And that's how, one by one, we can transform as a planet. We can have a chance of changing things for the better. So that's my heart share for today. And just wanted to also announce some opportunities to show up in case anyone's interested. Tomorrow is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. And so tomorrow I will be leading a virtual circle at 5 tomorrow. That's Pacific Daylight Time. At 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time tomorrow, unify.org is having another global meditation on Earth Day. And then at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific, they're going to be doing a online discussion about Future Casting 2020, a move to the regenerative society, which I think is really exciting because, I mean, that's what I'm talking about right now. Regenerating. That's what this is about. Regeneration. Giving birth to something new by letting the old fall away, and by living more in the heart, to realize we are not our thoughts, we are souls living a human experience, and we're all interconnected, and we're connected to the planet. Also going on tomorrow, starting at 4 a.m., and then again at 12 p.m., and then at 8 p.m., the Heart Math Institute is hosting a third care focus called Appreciating the Earth. And that's where people can connect to their inner balance trainers, which maybe some of you don't know what that means, but that's a little device that's used to measure your heart coherence. And it's a device that's used during heart math resilience training sessions. So you can work out and build your resilience by using this device as a feedback mechanism to help coach you as you drop into the heart and use the tools that heart math teaches. So the way this works is people get this device, they hook up to the device, they start their coherence session, and they breathe through their heart. And it's a whole bunch of people at the same time through this app, and everyone is contributing their coherence towards a common vision. And tomorrow's common vision and theme is going to be all about appreciating the earth. So they're going to be thinking on the same appreciation and radiating that out into the world tomorrow. And then On May 16th, I'm having my second webinar called Transforming Fear into Heart-Powered Intentions again at 5 p.m. on May 16th. So that's what I got. And I am going to pull a card from the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle. You know, this is so timely. So I'm talking about being in the dark, sitting in the soup, being uncomfortable in the discomfort, finding refuge in the discomfort, finding peace where it's not a pleasant place to sit. And I pulled the card, Plant Seeds of Intention. Go, grow, glow. And that to me resonates with what I've been talking about, because every birth starts in a dark place, whether it's a human being, whether it's a seed, whether it's a dream. We plant these seeds of intention. And so I'm going to read from this card. Here's the card, Planting Seeds of Intention. And it's card 21. And it reads, plant seeds of intention, go, grow, and glow. Every blade of grass has its angel that bends over it and whispers, grow, grow. And that was by the Talmud. And the message for today is, take a moment to explore what it is you truly want deep within the core of your being. There is a yearning in your soul to move toward your destiny. So what is it? What seed is gestating, urging, and burgeoning inside of you? Dig past the top layers of ego, societal conditioning, and shoulds, and you will find your soul blueprint awaiting your attention so it can guide you toward your most magnificent expression. Access this information in your dreams with a dream declaration. Clearly state where you would like your dreams to take you. For example, my dreams will reveal how I can step into my most empowered creative expression. When you do this, your dreams are given a powerful fertilizer. Allow your dream declaration to be the garden hoe that cuts out the weeds of noise and distraction. Contemplate your intention throughout the day and use your dream declaration as a meditation that tucks you in at night and wakes you in the morning. So my question for you today is, what are your seeds of intention? What are you planning for yourself? What seeds are you planting in this time of uncertainty? We are in very fertile times. In as fertile as it is, it's also very volatile. So it's really, really important to remember to drop into the heart and to be still and to feel into the truth that's living in your heart and allowing that truth to come forth, and let them be the seeds. Let them be the seeds that propagate, that germinate in this time. Try that as an exploration. as a experiment and see what awakens in you. Thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate you spending these few minutes with me, and I hope to continue to show up and speak my heart and to continue nurturing the heart-mind connection, because it is really foundational. It is the first step for any transformation. Thank you.